Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am talking all about my favorite baked Gelee products. I first saw Michelle Wong do a video on this, so I will link her video down below because she definitely gave me the inspiration for this. If you don't know, I absolutely love a baked Gelee formula. I just love baked formulas in general. I just love how they react on the skin and melt into the skin. So if you want to see all my favorite baked Gelee products, just stay tuned. And I want to talk a little bit about baked Gelee products first because they are a little more unique on the market. And I'm really glad that brands are starting to kind of branch out and create more of these products. Now, baked Gelee products do tend to be a little bit more expensive because the process of creating them is a longer process. Essentially, what is happening is you are taking a cream product and slowly baking it in a specialty oven. And all baked Gelee products are made in Italy, so I'm assuming maybe the specialty oven is in Italy. I don't really know, don't quote me on that. But essentially, you are baking these products in a slow process so that they become almost like a powder. They feel like a powder, they do apply like a powder, but my favorite thing about baked Gelee products is that they melt into the skin like a cream, and I'm assuming that is because they start off as a cream product, and they're just so unique. Because of this process, you get more silky matte powders. You also get more metallic finishes, so if you have an eyeshadow product, you can get more of a metallic finish. But again, it's going to almost melt on the eyes and create that really seamless, beautiful effect so that it never looks over the top or overwhelming or anything. It's what I like to call that sophisticated shimmer. So it also gives powders a more softer, velvety texture, and these products can all be used dry or wet. So they're very unique in the industry, and I think that's why I like them, and I've kind of gone on about why I like them. So let's just start off with my favorite products. The first one I'm starting off with is the Sisley Paris. This is the Blur Expert powder. So this I actually don't love as a powder, interestingly enough. This is the best primer that I have ever used. Again, it's a really interesting powder because when you apply it onto the skin, it doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look powdery in any way, which is why I'm assuming it works good as a primer, is because it doesn't apply like a typical powder. Like I said, it's not dry, it's not super cakey or anything like that. But when I apply this over foundation, it's still nice, it's just not my favorite. My favorite way to apply this is using it as a primer. It also, so it counteracts a little bit of redness in your skin, so it will help any discoloration that you have. But what it does the best is it really blurs the appearance of pores and texture. Something about a baked formula really just helps blur and perfect the skin. It is wonderful, and using this underneath foundation is truly a game changer. This is not something I use in my everyday life, but this is a product that I reach for special occasions just because of how perfected my skin looks. It is one of the best products on the market, specifically for a primer purpose, but it doesn't really have any coverage to this product. It really just blurs and perfects the skin. And then the next product that I absolutely adore, that's another baked product, is the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. Now, this does not come in the Hummingbird packaging anymore. It does come in a permanent, it's like a silver, almost looks like a pebble packaging. And I will hold mine up. Mine is starting to get worn away, so it has cracked a little bit. The other, I guess you could say, downfall to baked Gelees or baked products is that once you start they're baked on a grid essentially. So the product is baked on the grid. And once you start nearing hitting pan, they do have the tendency to crack, or because again, they are that creamy formula, sometimes they can lift out of the product that they're baked in. So you just have to be very, very careful with these products. I would never suggest traveling with these because they're just so delicate. But besides that, this is a really great setting powder. This is what I use if I want my skin to look just super perfected. And I really like this because again, it has a great effect of blurring the appearance of pores. And it really does a great job of just filtering out the skin and just adding that perfecting veil over top. But it never looks heavy, it never looks cakey. I do find though that this adds just a slight bit of coverage, so I reach for this for when I want my skin to look a little more perfected. So maybe, again, if I do have a more special occasion. This product also works really well for touching up. Actually, so does the Sisley. Again, I recommend finishing off your makeup with this, like using this to powder your skin. But if you need to touch up, these both are great products because again, they go onto the skin in such a thin layer. They never look heavy, they never look cakey or anything like that. They're just very great at pore blurring and pore perfecting on the skin. Moving on to face palettes or face products, I'm going to start with the Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm face palette. So this was a limited edition release from Charlotte Tilbury, and I will put a picture of it up on the screen, but you can see mine has cracked, and this was actually because I just dropped it on the ground. I wasn't like hitting pan on this shade or anything, but I do love this palette. Again, these are all Big Gelee products, and they are just so beautiful on the skin. They look they're like that your skin but enhanced. It gives you a very natural effect. None of these products are too intense, except for the blush. That's the one product in this palette that I don't absolutely love. I love using this shade down here. I don't usually love it for bronzer, but using it as an eyeshadow is a really great step for me. I love to use this bronzer as an eyeshadow as well, but it's also a fantastic bronzer because, again, it just really melts on the skin. And this highlight is just so stunning. One of my favorite highlights in my entire collection because it is just so smoothing on the skin. It's more of a subtle highlighter, but again, it has that effect where it melts right into the skin and kind of becomes one. So this is one of my favorite releases from Charlotte Tilbury. Really a fan of this formula, and this is so beautiful. So next on the list, we have the Sisley Phyto-Touche Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder, and I have mentioned this in many videos because this is just one of the best bronzers on the market. Again, I have clearly loved this bronzer because there's only like 3/4 of a pan left of it, maybe even less than that. So next time I will be picking up a backup of this because this is a bronzer I always want to have in my collection. It is so stunning. This is a bit more of a shimmery version of a bronzer than what I normally gravitate towards, if you can see that swatch there. But it has the most beautiful pigment to it. It has the most beautiful warmth. And while there is a sheen to this bronzer, you can't see those shimmer particles sitting on the skin. Again, it has that formula where it just melts right into your skin and gives you the most stunning bronze glow. Now, because this bronzer is a little bit on the warmer tone, I'm not sure how well it will work for very, very fair skin tones that maybe lean on the cooler side. But for me, this is a perfect toned bronzer. It is beautiful. I just love how it gives a bit of a glow, but again, it's not over the top where you can see the shimmer particles on the skin, and it's a very buildable formula, and it melts right in, and it's gorgeous. So that's the Sisley bronzer. If you haven't tried this out, highly, highly recommend it. The formula is unbeatable. And then another bronzer I absolutely adore is the Chantecaille Real Bronze in the shade Sirena. So there are 2 shades in this, and yes, I have hit pan on this shade as well, but it hasn't cracked yet, so that is a plus. But this, again, I would say it's similar to the Sisley bronzer. Again, it's that Big Gelee formula, so it has that same formula where it is going to just melt right into the skin. When you feel these formulas, it almost feels a bit putty-like. It almost feels like it could be a cream, but again, it's not actually a cream. But it just has that kind of creamy consistency to it. And again, it is a really creamy bronzer on the skin. It is seamless on the skin. It melts right in. And I really love these products because they apply like a powder, so you get that ease of application, but they melt into your skin like a cream would. So they look very skin-like. They never look over the top. They never look like you've applied a ton of product. They never look makeup-y on the skin. And the Chantecaille bronzer as well has a bit of a sheen to it, but it is less of a sheen than the Sisley bronzer. And the Sirena bronzer is also a little more neutral toned. It's not as warm as golden as the Sisley bronzer. So I just love this for every day. I love this on special occasions. This is a bronzer I can wear for any occasion. I can wear it all year long as well without it leaning too warm or anything like that. Just one of the prettiest bronzers on the market. So again, highly recommend this bronzer. And let's move on to highlights. And I feel like my favorite highlights of all time are a Big Gelee formula because I really like how I don't love a lot of highlighters, I will be honest. A lot of them can look heavy or too metallic on the skin. They can enhance texture. But with Big Gelee products, they have that tendency where they look like you've applied a liquid illuminator or a liquid highlighter to your cheeks because they have that effect where it melts right in and is very seamless on the skin. You can't detect that you've applied highlighter or that it's too metallic that you can see from space. I really like that they give that natural glow. So all these highlighters have that same tendency. The first one I'm going to mention is the newest to my collection, and this is the Hermes. This is the 01 Permabrass highlighter. This is limited edition, and it is stunning. It is just as good as everyone has been saying it is. The formula of this is beautiful. Now, this is a little bit more pigmented and has a little bit more of a sheen than the other highlighters I will be mentioning. But again, you can see how glossy it looks just on my hand. Like, it gives you that beautiful reflection without it being over the top. So you can still see that beautiful glow on your cheekbones without it being like whoa, you're wearing a ton of highlighter on your cheekbones. You still get that beautiful dimension and that glow to your skin with using a product like this. And I also love that it is for eyes as well, because I love a multi-purpose product and I can use this on an everyday basis just on my eyes and then finish off with applying this to the cheekbones, and it just gives the most beautiful candlelit, stunning glow. And then the other highlighter that I want to mention, and again, the formula reminds me of the Hermes highlighter. This is the Chanel Perles de Lumiere, it's a limited edition highlighter. All the Big Gelee highlighters seem to be limited edition, but if you can tell the difference between the Hermes, the Chanel one is definitely more subtle. So this looks even more like skin. This is what I reach for on a daily basis, for an everyday basis, like when I'm going to work and stuff. When I don't want anything like too intense, I guess you could say. Not that I think the Hermes is too intense, because it's a very buildable formula. This Chanel one isn't super buildable. It just gives you that really kind of sheer highlight, and it does again look like a liquid illuminator has been applied to the skin, even more so because of how subtle it is on the skin. So if you're looking for something super, super subtle that just really enhances the skin naturally, this would be a great choice. And it is a different color from the Hermes, and I think it might melt into the skin just even more because you can't really detect the color of it. It just blends perfectly into my skin tone especially. And I just love this. So if you are looking for something very, very subtle, highly recommend the Chanel. It is beautiful. And then I have a few actually permanent highlighters, so you can get these all the time. I'm going to start off with the more intense ones. So this is the Tom Ford Sheer Highlighting Duo in the shade Reflex Gilt. So this is, again, a permanent highlighter from Tom Ford, and this is definitely a bit more intense. So I would compare this one more to the Hermes highlight. It definitely gives you more of an intense glow. So we have the deeper kind of copper shade there, if you can see, and then we have the more golden tone. It's really hard to swatch highlights because, again, these ones just give you that beautiful kind of lit from within look. But the Tom Ford definitely reminds me, you get that same intensity like the Hermes one. So if you want a bit more of an intense glow, but again, is going to melt into the skin beautifully, that is just going to enhance your skin. It's not going to be over the top or anything. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I love that I can kind of mix these two shades together. Now the copper one is a little too deep for me to use on its own, but if I mix these together, I can get, again, a very beautiful glow. I've heard some people say this is a blush topper, but for me, it's too shimmery as a blush topper, because if you start applying it to this area, it will enhance pores. Like, it will make the pores look more noticeable. But if you just apply it on your cheekbones, you're obviously not going to do that. You're just going to get that lit from within. Beautiful application. And again, if you're looking for something super duper natural, this is the Tom Ford Skin Illuminating Powder Duo in the shade 01 Moodlight. So again, we have two shades here. And for me, my perfect application for this one is actually mixing the two together. So with this one, I can just mix the two together and it gives me the perfect color. And this one is definitely a little more bronzy, and then this one is a little more on the paler side. These are just so smoothing on the skin. Again, very similar in effect to the Chanel highlighter in that you're not going to get that really intense color payoff. These aren't incredibly buildable either. You just get that very seamless glow, but you can't build it up to like a super intense highlighter look or anything like that. But these really melt into the skin as well. Like, look at that sheen that they just give. It's such a glossy highlight, and it just makes your skin look smooth. It makes your skin look better, especially when you use these. So if you're looking for something for like that no makeup look where you can't detect you're wearing any highlighter at all, definitely the Moodlight Duo is something to look out for. It is stunning. And then I quickly want to mention a blush. So it's really hard to find a Big Gelee blush that I like because most of them are a metallic finish, kind of similar to what I mentioned in the Charlotte Tilbury palette. And I don't like a metallic or even shimmery finish in my blushes because it really makes your texture stand out. And I like my texture to be blurred on the skin. I like pores to be blurred and just my skin to look really smooth. And this was a blush that actually did that, but it's in that Big Gelee formula. So again, it applies like a powder, but it melts into the skin almost as if you've applied a cream product. And this blush is so pretty. I'm mostly talking about the blush side. The highlight's nice, but it's a bit more of a pinky tone, which is my favorite highlighter shade. But this blush is so beautiful. Now, this isn't available anymore, so I'm just going to quickly mention it. But it gives you just the perfect pop of color. I really wish when Chanel reformulated their blushes, they came out with them in this formula because this is just the best formula they've released in my opinion. But I'm going to move on to some of my favorite eyeshadows because there's definitely Big Gelee eyeshadows are becoming more popular on the market now. They didn't used to be, but I'm going to go in with probably the most well-known Big Gelee formula on the market, and that is the Tom Ford Wet to Dry formula. So these are my two favorite palettes in that formula. So I have the Suspicion palette. I think you can tell I like this because I have Hit Pan in 2 of the shades here. So these 2 are just the ones that I use the most. And then I also love and adore the Honeymoon palette. This is just a classic. It is super neutral toned. All these shades look beautiful together. I love pulling this out more so for a nighttime or evening look. And I am trying to force myself to not think of my makeup that way because I don't use this enough because, again, I like to use it for more special occasions. But makeup does expire eventually. So I would love to start pulling this out more. So that is definitely a goal this year. But this formula is just, again, beautiful. I love that you can use them wet or dry. So if you use them dry, you don't get as much opacity, but you can see with that swatch, you still get a decent amount of pigment. And then when you wet the shadows, you get more pigmentation. And it also darkens the shadows a bit. So they look very different when you wet them. You get a bit of a deeper pigment and they go on really smooth. And you don't get as much of that kind of sparkle finish. Now, these are definitely not sparkly in any way, shape, or form. They, again, give you that sophisticated glow. They're very elegant shimmers. They're such a refined eyeshadow that they just, again, when you apply them, they just sort of melt into the eyes eventually. Such a beautiful formula. These are a classic kind of eyeshadow palette for a reason. One of my other favorite palettes is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Star Aura palette. So this is a limited edition release, and it is my favorite by far formula that Charlotte Tilbury has ever released. This is my favorite palette in her entire collection, just again because of the formula of this. Again, we have that Big Gelee formula, so you can use these wet or dry, and they're just so beautiful. They're so sophisticated. This color story is extremely neutral, so it can be used for any occasion. It's any occasion makeup. You can wear it to work and feel confident, but you can wear it out and again feel confident. And the shimmers are just so beautiful. They give you that beautiful sheen, but you can't detect any glitter particles. They are not that sporadic glitter formula that's chunky or anything like that. They're just so smooth on the eyes. They blend like a dream. Again, going back to the Tom Ford shadows, they just blend effortlessly into each other. It almost requires no effort, so I always know I can get a beautiful look from them. And these are also palettes I would recommend to beginners too because of just how universal they are and how easy they are to work with. And then I have one more eyeshadow palette to mention. And again, I'll go over this one quick because I've mentioned it so much lately. This is the Chanel Mediterraneen eyeshadow quad. So this was released in this spring-summer collection, and this sold out incredibly fast. I don't think it's available anymore. But again, these are stunning shimmers. I actually bought a backup of this because I don't want to be without this eyeshadow quad. It is stunning on the eyes. You get that sophisticated shimmer, that elegant shine. It is never over the top or overwhelming. These shades are beautiful. Again, they are neutral leaning, so you can wear this for any occasion and just feel your best in them. This shade down here has an ever so slight green hint to it, but every look I've created with this I have loved. Even though it looks like you can't get different looks out of this palette, you definitely can. I think I did like 3 looks with this palette on my channel when I add up all the videos that I did about this palette. But this is just stunning. If I don't know what to use on a daily basis, but I still want to look put together and I still want my makeup to look really good and I want to feel confident in what I'm wearing, I will reach for one of these 3 palettes because I just know I'm going to love the outcome every single time. And then I also wanted to mention some one and done shadows because again, I tend to reach for one and done shadows either when I don't want to spend a lot of time getting ready or maybe I want my makeup to look a little more effortless. It just doesn't require as much effort when you reach for a one and done. So it's just easy. It doesn't require as much time. It doesn't require as much blending, but this formula is absolutely stunning. So the first one I want to mention is the Bobbi Brown Luxe Eyeshadow Rich Metal in the shade Heat Ray. Now I have seen the Bobbi Brown, I don't know if they're reformulating it or if they're just coming out with new shades in this eyeshadow formula, but this is a Big Gelee and not a lot of people talk about this product, but this is again so beautiful. This is definitely more metallic, I would say, than the other eyeshadow palettes that I have mentioned, but it doesn't have that chunkiness to it. It doesn't have those glitter chunks. It just gives you a beautiful sheen. And again, even though it is a bit more intense, it eventually melts into the eyes, so it just looks really seamless, and I just love to use this when I don't know what to do with my eyeshadow looks because it just looks beautiful. You can see that beautiful glow that it gives on even my hand. It's just never over the top, but you do get a bit more shimmer than the other shades like I mentioned. I just want to make it clear that there's no glitter chunks or anything like that. It's very sophisticated. And then the final product I have to mention is the Chantecaille Luminescent Eyeshade in the shade Lion. I feel like I can't shut up about these because I love them so much. Again, they're a beautiful one and done, or if you just have a look where you're using more matte shades and you just want your eye makeup to look even more special, just placing this over top really amplifies your look and it adds such a beautiful effect. These are so beautiful. I would say that they have the same metallic effect that the Bobbi Brown has. The Bobbi Brown just maybe has a little bit more sporadic shimmer than the Chantecaille, but you can see that beautiful gilded glow that you get. These are just so lovely. I love these. I have actually gone through a full Lion eyeshadow. This is the second one I have bought. I love this formula. I think every shade is beautiful. They look really glossy and wet on the eyes, never over the top. But these are something that I reach for more special occasions because they're just a little more shimmery than the other palettes mentioned. But they're so beautiful. I would love to know your favorite Baked Gelee products though, because I would love to discuss if I need to pick some more up, or I would love to try the ones that you are loving as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and thank you to Michelle Wong for this video inspiration. I will see you in my next video.